I took in the blue-red practice from Highmark Stadium on Friday night, and I'm here to share all of my top observations with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, folks, an annual event at Highmark Stadium is the blue-red practice. Got a chance to take that in on Friday night, and I want to share with you my top observations from the event. Now, one quick note, you probably have noticed that this week the backgrounds on YouTube have been not normal, right? I've been in Rochester in a hotel room for most of the week, and now I'm in Western New York, actually in an Airbnb in Buffalo. And so the background that you're seeing is the dining room of this Airbnb. Things will get back to normal starting on Monday. I'm traveling back to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live on Sunday. And so the aesthetics of what you're used to seeing on YouTube will resume. So just wanted to kind of clarify for anybody that's wondering, is this guy recording a podcast from a kitchen? Yeah, I am right now, but that's not normal, and that will change starting next week. But have had an awesome week here in Western New York. I always enjoy my time in town, and this week has been incredible. And of course, a great way to end the week is at Highmark Stadium for the blue-red practice. And the Buffalo Bills announced that over 36,000 people were in the stands for this event. Kind of a cool, rainy evening. It's the rain mostly held off, but there was a few moments during practice where it sprinkled in, but it rained all day long. Point being, didn't stop over 36,000 people from attending the Bills practice at the stadium, which was super cool. Now, one of the 36,000 people in attendance was my daughter, Rebecca Jean. She's 4.5 years old, and this was her first time at any stadium. And so it was a super cool experience for me to be able to take her to the stadium, right? You kind of think about these moments your whole life, being able to take your kids to go and see the thing that you enjoy the most in life, which is the Buffalo Bills. For me, obviously, outside of my family, please, don't get carried away. But one of my biggest passions in life is the Buffalo Bills. And so it's awesome to be able to take her there. And we're walking into the stadium, and, I got a decent walk from where we parked, and she's singing the shout song on the way in, and then she's all excited when she finally gets a chance to see Josh Allen come on the field. And of course, whenever she gets a chance to see him on the field, she's waving and saying, "Hi, Josh Allen. Hi, Josh Allen." And I'll tell you what, super cool moment as a parent to see her excited. Now, she is 4.5 years old, so the attention span was pretty limited. She lasted about 20 minutes of the practice before my wife kind of had to improvise and take her to the team store and kind of kill some time so I could enjoy the practice. But it was really, really awesome for me to take her there. And I would encourage, if you're able to take your kids next year to the Blue Red, definitely do it. It's a great, great event and super cool. That's what I'll say. Super cool. But one of the traditions of the Blue Red practice is Josh Allen, and he comes out with a helmet, right? A unique helmet. A couple of years ago, it was the red helmet with the blue stripes, and then it was the blue helmet. And this year he comes out in a black helmet with the standing red buffalo on it. And I think as a standalone helmet, I think it looks really cool. I think it looks really nice, actually. I typically like black and red combinations, and I think it looks sharp. I don't think it necessarily looks sharp with the overall kit that Josh Allen was wearing, which was the red throwback, not throwback, red color rush jersey with white pants. I don't think it went super good with that. But I think there probably are some iterations of the Bills uniforms that it would look pretty good with. So I always like to give my take on that. I have a lot of opinions and thoughts about football aesthetics and the way things look on the field, whether it's the field art or uniforms. And so wanted to kind of share my thoughts on that. I was hoping, my fingers were crossed, that Josh Allen was going to come out in the 90s throwbacks, and then they were going to have this big announcement that here they are, the 90s throwbacks are back, and they're going to wear them for one game this season, but we didn't get that. The Bills continue to not bring back the throwback. They continue to not do anything with alternate uniforms, as the rest of the NFL certainly does all those things, and a couple of teams are also in the same boat as the Bills, but kind of surprising that we continue to get shut out when it comes to these fun alternate and throwback uniforms for the Bills. They're not even wearing the Standing Buffalo throwback uniforms anymore. What's going on with that? I like to see that stuff. So my thoughts there, and I'm going to talk about what happened on the field, but I had to get some of these things out there at the beginning of this podcast. We'll talk offense takeaways. We'll talk defense takeaways for sure. But as I kind of just discussed the general event, I think that it was a pretty flat practice for the Buffalo Bills, particularly on the offensive side of the football. And the first competitive moment of practice was the 7-on-7 session. And I think you knew right then and there that Josh Allen and the offense just wasn't clicking. Josh Allen throws a couple of interceptions in the 7-on-7 session. There's some drop passes, and they just felt flat. And then throughout the course of the day, there's penalties, there's drops, there's turnovers. You see Tyler Bass shank a big field goal attempt. He had a chance from 58 yards in an end-of-game 2-minute situation. And, I mean, the ball just didn't have a prayer from the second it left his toe. Now, before you start getting all panicky about Tyler Bass, he then continued to make later in practice from 28, 33, 40, 44, and 51. So he's missed 2 field goals in camp so far, and one of them was from 58. The other one was from 51. I've seen both of them, and I think he made 6 and then 6 more, so that's 12, and then he made 5 more tonight, so he's 17 of 19 in training camp to this point. A couple of participation notes here that I want to bring to your attention. We'll talk offensive takeaways in the next segment, but had some players that didn't participate. Von Miller participated in individual work, but he did not do any team drills. Same with Matt Milano, no team drills for either player. I have to think that those are just maintenance days, veteran rest days. Lyle Collins, reserve offensive lineman, he did not practice with a knee injury, which is pretty concerning. I think you've heard from myself and others that have been attending these practices that Lyle Collins just doesn't – he looks like he's beat up, right? Just can't really move very well. The feet are heavy, struggles to bend. The tackle reps are really rough. And now he's got a knee deal, and you're just like, man, I don't know. I don't know if he's got anything left in the tank. So he couldn't go on Friday night. Then there was some injuries during the practice. Edefon Ulafosio, backup linebacker, draft pick this year, he got hurt on a goal line tackle and did not return. Nicholas Moreau, another depth linebacker, left practice and did not finish. So a couple of linebackers go down. And then you also had Justin Shorter and Matt Collins got banged up a little bit, but they returned and finished practice. And then early on in the 7-on-7 session, Terrel Bernard was shaken up. He was with Taylor Rapp, but they were breaking on a football. And a little bit of a collision there between the two as they were both trying to make a play on the ball. And Terrel Bernard was shaken up. He went to the side. You could tell he was kind of just like trying to loosen up. You could convince me that it's something, I don't know, ribs, back, oblique, something like that. But he wound up coming back, finishing full contact. But you could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable there for a little bit. So some bumps and bruises along the way, some players not participating. And I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of all of that before we start talking about what happened in the competitive sessions of practice. We'll talk offensive standouts, defensive standouts later. Be sure to stick with me. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, folks, let's talk about some takeaways here from what happened during the competitive moments of practice. And we'll start with the offense. And as I said in the opening, it was kind of a tough day. I thought the offense was flat, which was disappointing because the offense has been so good in these training camp practices. And I've certainly had a lot of kind remarks for how the unit has been executing as a whole. And then you get to Highmark Stadium on Friday night, and it's just not the case at all. Like I mentioned, penalties, drops, turnovers, just a flat day. And like I said, it started with the 7-on session where Josh Allen throws interceptions, 2 interceptions in a 7-on-7 session, which is crazy. One to Deion Jones, where I mean, you watched a play and you could convince yourself that Josh Allen just literally threw the ball right to him. Literally right to him. And I don't know. It's tough to reconcile that play. It looks like maybe Josh was just kind of throwing the ball, just kind of the play was done and Deion picked it off, but it was not a pretty looking play. And then Kaiir Elam also picked one off. It appeared to be a cover 2 rep where Kaiir Elam is sinking and Josh Allen tried to fit a honey hole shot between the corner and safety. Kaiir Elam buzzes back, gets depth, picks off the ball. So great play by Kaiir Elam. But obviously, you don't love the turnover for the offensive side of the football. And then I just thought in general, during that 7-on-7 session, Josh Allen just kind of struggled to find completions. There wasn't a lot of space for him to work the ball. And you just kind of felt like the offense was sluggish and flat right from that moment. And it had some better moments later on. But I think for the most part, it was a flat day for the offense. But there was, like I said, some good moments. I want to bring those to your attention. I thought Curtis Samuel had an outstanding catch down the field, and it was kind of cut off his route, maybe like a 15-yard out, working back to the football towards the sideline, and Josh Allen threw it to a spot, and Curtis Samuel was able to kind of go down and scoop out a low throw. I thought that was a really big moment within this practice. I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling, MVS, he continues to get more opportunities with the first team, and he continues to make some plays. Had a nice reception on a deep in route, probably about 12, 15 yards of depth, sitting in between kind of that void and like a cover 3 look in front of that safety. And Josh hit him in stride. It was a really good looking play. And so, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, the first few days that I was here, you're just kind of wondering, you're like, is this guy going to have a role in this offense? He's not getting first team reps. Tyrell Shavers is getting reps over him. And then as the week moved along, MVS got more and more opportunity and made plays. And so it's nice to see that start to heat up because that contract is set up for him to make the team with $2.25 million fully guaranteed with 4 void years tacked on to the back end of that deal. It's definitely one that you look at and say, this guy should be making the team. And there's momentum for that to happen, which is good. I thought Dalton Kincaid had one heck of a reception, kind of an outbreaking pattern. Terrel Bernard was extremely tight in coverage, and I would argue that Bernard had leverage at the catch point, but Josh Allen just kind of put it in this spot where Dalton Kincaid was just able to kind of stick out his arms and catch the ball, but like tight coverage from Bernard kind of speaks to the chemistry that those two guys have, that Josh would not only be willing to make that throw, but execute it perfectly. And Dalton Kincaid making it look easy when there's really tight coverage where he doesn't even have leverage at the catch point. Had another nice catch over the middle of the field where there's just moments where Dalton Kincaid, despite being who I would label as the go-to option for this offense, just gets loose in the middle of the field. And you saw that happen for a big catch and run. I thought Keon Coleman had a good catch as well. The Bills were working on some 2-minute end-of-game scenarios, and he was working against Rasul Douglas, and Keon Coleman was able to push vertical and cut off his route and kind of work back to the sideline. Josh Allen ripped it in there, and it was a nice play. I thought that was a positive moment. I figured Josh was going to want to get zero a catch at some point, and he did, and it was a good-looking play. A couple other standouts there, two guys that just have stood out all week. It's the backup tight ends, and not Dawson Knox, but Quentin Morris and Zach Davidson. If you were at practice, you saw it, right? These guys just continue to make catches, and I think it speaks to those guys being good players as third tight ends, but also some of the play action stuff. I thought in this practice in particular, Davidson and Morris on play action concepts are able to really shake loose in the middle of the field and catch the ball with a lot of separation and a lot of yards after catch in the case of Zach Davidson. And Zach Davidson just continues to bring juice. Even on some of the catch and runs, like he's pushing hard against the sideline. He's willing to take hits and get tackled in a practice where you're not supposed to get tackled. I think that guy just really stands out. The more you watch practice, 85 and 84, you can't deny that they are making plays with the second and third units. So nice little battle brewing there between Q Morris and Zach Davidson, and the Bills should feel very good about their tight end depth. One note here that's not necessarily an offensive note, but it's an offensive player in Justin Shorter. I know that Justin Shorter has a lot of fans out there, and I'm sensitive to that. So one thing I wanted to point out to those fans of Justin Shorter is that he continues to get the first reps of punt team work as the gunner opposite of Mac Hollins, and I think that's pretty significant. And even you've seen those two guys have some camaraderie about them with how they kind of just like race and meet to the football and dap each other up after the plays. I think it's pretty cool. But Justin Shorter continues to get those reps, and that's meaningful. That's a very important function of special teams, are your gunners, your jammers on the punt return team. Those are very, very critical players. And Justin Shorter getting those reps with Mac Hollins is notable in my opinion. I thought Sam Martin had one heck of a day as well. Now that Jack Browning is no longer in the mix, it's very clear that Sam Martin's your Bills punter this year. And I thought early in practice when they were working punt team stuff, I thought Sam Martin was booming the ball with good distance. And then when they wanted to down the ball, like kind of some shorter punts and pin teams, within the 10-yard line, I thought his control of the football was really good. And you can't help but notice Mac Hollins on these special teams reps. He's always down there, and he just positions himself so well to down punts. And I think the Bills have kind of struggled with that. Getting guys down the field and in position to down that football when it's not fielded up against the goal line. And Mac Hollins just has a knack for being in those spots. Last offensive note that I want to bring to your attention, and then we have a lot of great things to talk about on the defensive side of the football because it was kind of their day, in my opinion. Ryan Vandemark was a player that I tried to pay attention to as much as I could when I was watching the backups. And again, you get one look at these plays, and I have a sideline view. So, I want to be careful when I bring takeaways to you that they're accurate. But I think Ryan Vandemark looks very comfortable to me. He was the Bills' third tackle last year. I think he's going to clearly be that again this year. But the right tackle reps were really impressive. I saw him against Cameron Klein a few times, just really frame him up. And his timing with his hands and ability to just like control and stymie rushers with good hand placement and maximizing that length and squaring up and framing rushers looks really good to me. And I thought there were some reps at right tackle in particular that were really strong in this practice. And so as you start to wonder about that offensive line depth, don't forget about Ryan Vandemark and Alec Anderson as two guys that were rostered players last year that I think will be again this year. And I think they are having strong camps and really building on what they did last year at this time during training camp and preseason to convince Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott that they're going to make this roster And they haven't really played in regular season games, but throughout camp practices and preseason, you just feel really good about the way that they execute. And I feel like both of those guys have taken another step forward. And so if you are unfamiliar with them and you're kind of wondering who the depth players are as we kind of continue to be concerned about Lyle Collins, take comfort in Ryan Vandemark and Alec Anderson as potentially your sixth and seventh offensive linemen. Anderson can play all 5 spots, certainly focusing on the interior, and Vandemark showing more and more comfort on the right side after he's typically been a better left side player. I'm gaining a lot of comfort with those players, and so wanted to shout them out. I think Anderson throughout the course of the week, of course, prior to him having the heat-related illness and he missed the day, but thought earlier in the week he looked really good, and then I started focusing more on Ryan Vandemark, and I think he's having a really strong camp, and I certainly hope to see that continue into the preseason games where I thought he really validated himself and his development. And we'll start getting those next week. The Bills hosting the Bears next Saturday as the preseason schedule ramps up for the Buffalo Bills and the rest of the NFL. All right, folks, defensive takeaways. We got a bunch of them. It was their night. We're going to talk all about it here in just a moment. Be sure to stick with me. I love sports. I love them so much and never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime that I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Well, it was the defense's night, and maybe for some of you that's been hearing all these great things about the offense all week and started to be concerned about the defense, maybe you can take a little bit of comfort in the amount of splash plays that side of the football made. And I got a bunch of names down. I think the first one I need to talk about is Daequan Hardy, slot corner, rookie draft pick out of Penn State, offers value as a punt returner, but I watched him at Penn State, and I thought he was a really good slot corner. He's a little small, but he's very explosive. I think he's instinctive. I think he plays above his weight class, and he's got that punt return ability that really matters. And as you've seen, the Bills have injuries at safety. That has put Cam Lewis more at the safety spot, which has opened up slot reps for a number of players, including Daequan Hardy and others. We'll talk about another one, Corey Couch, here in just a moment. But Daequan Hardy has really taken advantage of his opportunities. I thought he had some good moments throughout the week at St. John Fisher. I've even shouted him out a few times on the podcast and just mentioned to you that, hey, they're sprinkling him in from time to time with the first teams, which I think is important because if he has to do it during a game, you don't want it to be the first time that he does it. So training camp is the time to just sub him in and give him like a couple of plays here and there. But he had a pass breakup on defending Andy Isabella, and he had a highlight reel interception in the corner of the end zone defending KJ Hamler. Was able to out-leverage Hamler and then just really make a spectacular catch. I'm sure, you would guess if there's highlights that are posted on the Bills' social media, you think that one would make the cut. But he obviously popped with 2 big plays on the ball and continues to get opportunity and continues to answer the call. I will continue with the slot corners and mention to Corey Couch, an undrafted free agent. He had an interception on a tip pass, which was good to see, but I thought he looks sound instinctively to me. I watched him a few times where I'm just trying to get familiar with more and more players as I have these opportunities to watch the team. And so you're watching second, third team reps. It's like, all right, well, let's watch this player. And I thought there were multiple times where Corey Couch just showed a lot of comfort, particularly with smooth and confident click and close moments. That's an important function of a slot corner. You're going to be challenged with a lot of quick passes that come your direction. You're going to give up some completions, but can you get your foot in the dirt and come forward and make a tackle? I thought he did it a couple of different times in addition to making a play on the ball. And I thought he flashed a couple of times throughout the week at St. John Fisher. So to Corey Couch, starting to rack up some moments, which is good. And as the Bills enter the preseason stretch here, and he gets a chance to play in games, I think hopefully that will show up and the Bills will feel like they got a guy that they can stash on their practice squad and start developing. Other defensive backs that were really outstanding, Kaiir Elam. Like, he just continues to make splash plays, which is consistent with what he does in regular games, right? Like, it's not always perfect, right? He certainly makes a mistake from time to time, but you cannot deny that when Kaiir Elam is on a football field, splash plays happen. He takes away the ball. He's got really good ball skills. That was like the big talking point with Kaiir Elam. He's athletic and he can take away the football. And that continues to show up. Like I mentioned, the interception of Josh Allen on the honey hole shot where he was able to sink and play the ball, but just a lot of confidence. And I think that's important. One thing I say a lot on this podcast, and I'll say it again, is that the highest performing players in sports are confident. They're extremely confident. I feel like that's growing more and more for Kaiir Elam. Christian Benford, I thought, had a really good day. He doesn't give much in coverage, I'll tell you that. If you're going to get separation on him, you're going to work and you're going to get it. You're going to earn that. And I thought he had a really solid day. And something that really pops for me about Christian Benford, and it's happened a couple of different times in camp, and it's also happened in games, where he just has an unbelievably hot motor. And it showed up on a long Ray Davis run. I think some of people were saying it was about a 50, 60-yard run. And unfortunately, Ray Davis didn't finish the run because Christian Benford came and stripped the ball out. He sprinted down the field and popped that ball out. And I'm pretty sure he did that once during the week of practice at St. John Fisher as well. And I think about that, the Jets game, week 1 last year, the long Breece Hall run that he didn't score on is because Christian Benford got down there and made that tackle. Like, Christian Benford, not only is he a smart, instinctive, and physical player, he just plays hard. And you can't overlook these things. They matter. And it's a big reason why I think he's earned the appreciation and trust of this coaching staff, because he's a maximum effort guy. And that matters a ton. And I thought that was an awesome play. And Ray Davis has had a couple of fumbles now, and they're never like in tight spaces. It's like at the end of a run. Like, dude, hold on to the ball all the way through. And I think it's good that this is happening now, like the very valuable moments. You certainly don't want to do it when it matters, but Ray Davis has got to protect that ball all the way until it's over, until the play's over, because there's twice now that I've seen him at the end of a run, ball gets out, and it's not good. He did push-ups on the field because he fumbled that ball. Taron Johnson, outstanding day. I know that's to be expected, but I don't know. Every time I watch him, I appreciate him more and more. Just a good football player. Ed Oliver, I think it's probably fair to say that the most consistent defensive player throughout the week that I watched 5 practices. I think Ed Oliver's been the most consistent defensive player, and that showed up once again. Had a sack. His run defense and feel for where the ball's going is really good. He's just tough to block, and he's been a problem for the Bills' offensive line all week long. Greg Rousseau, I thought, had a good day. I don't think anybody would credit him with the sack, but there was a play where Josh Allen was able to get outside the pocket. But Rousseau, I think he was going to tackle him, like, if he could in a game. He at least would have got a quarterback hit, and then Josh Allen would have to break a tackle to extend the play. But I thought he had a sack in this practice, and I think his camp has been really, really strong, and that continued at the Blue-Red. And then even Dewayne Carter got in on the action. He had a pass breakup. The rookie out of Duke, the 3rd-round pick, pass breakup, and you can just kind of get a feel that he's still getting comfortable, but there's a lot of energy that he brings to the table as well. And so hopefully he's just following Ed Oliver around and doing whatever he does and learning the game and can be a meaningful part of this defensive tackle rotation. But the splash plays just kept on happening on defense. Guys getting hands on footballs, guys creating some pressure and wreaking havoc in the backfield, taking away the ball. It was a good day for the defense. You could tell that they had a lot of energy, and you could also tell that they kind of spoiled some of what they wanted to get done on offense, which is good. It's about time, right? It's been offense. Josh Allen's lighting it up, making big throws. Guys are making all these big catches. Well, the defense finally got theirs on Friday night at Highmark Stadium. All right, folks, this has been an unbelievable week. Always love my time in Western New York. Had tons of great food. Tons of great encounters with Bills Mafia and people that shared conversations with me, and it was a really, really special time. The only complaint I have is the stoplights on Sheridan Drive. Boy, oh boy, they make my blood boil. I am not like a road rage guy at all, but I can't stop every 100 feet. This is insane. Absolutely insane. And I felt like the past couple of days, I just keep going up and down Sheridan. And whew, I don't know how you do it, folks. That's a tough stretch. But other than that, an amazing week. And I'll be back in North Carolina on Sunday, back in the home office recording podcast for you on Monday morning. So that's when you will hear from me next. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills! And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.